The Leopard King's Curse Part 1. Once upon a time, in the peaceful village of Amu, there was a great king named Oba Ajoni. Oba Ajoni was not an ordinary king, he was brave and kind, but he carried a secret. Every full moon, he turned into a leopard. No one in the village knew about this, not even his wife, Queen Aduk, or his son, Prince Tund. The curse had been placed on Oba Ajoni many years ago when he was a young prince. He had gone hunting in the forbidden forest, even though the elders warned him never to go there. Inside the forest, he accidentally killed a sacred leopard that belonged to the spirits. Angry, the forest spirits cursed him. "Since you have taken the life of a leopard," the spirit said, "you will become one under the light of the full moon." Oba Ajoni begged for forgiveness, but the spirit only gave him one condition: the curse could only be broken if someone showed him true kindness when he was in his leopard form. For years, Oba Ajoni kept his secret. On nights of the full moon, he would hide in the forest until morning. He thought no one would ever help him, for who would be kind to a dangerous leopard? One day, a traveler named Oluchi came to the village. She was a young girl, about 10 years old, with sharp eyes and a quick smile. She carried a small bag filled with herbs and said she was looking for work as a healer. The villagers were curious about her, but she soon became well-liked because her herbs cured sicknesses that even the village doctor couldn't fix. One evening, Oluchi was sitting under the big iroko tree when she saw the king walking toward the forest. She thought it was strange because no one ever went to the forest at night. Quietly, she followed him, keeping a safe distance. When the king reached the forest, the full moon rose, and Oluchi saw something unbelievable. The king began to change. His body grew larger, his arms turned into strong legs, and his face stretched into the face of a leopard. The king let out a loud roar and disappeared into the trees. Oluchi's eyes widened. "So, the king is cursed," she whispered. The next morning, Oluchi decided to go into the forest. She wanted to find the leopard king and help him. She packed some herbs and a piece of roasted yam and set off early before anyone noticed. The forest was dark and quiet, but Oluchi was brave. She followed the footprints of a leopard until she reached a small clearing. There, she saw the king in his leopard form, lying under a tree. His paw was hurt, and he was growling softly in pain. Oluchi didn't run away. Instead, she slowly stepped forward. "Your Majesty, don't be afraid. I want to help you," she said. The leopard growled louder, showing his sharp teeth. But Oluchi didn't move back. She knelt on the ground and placed the herbs in front of her. "I know you are cursed, but I think I can heal your wound." The leopard king stopped growling. He looked at Oluchi with his glowing eyes, then slowly lowered his head as if to say, "Go ahead." Oluchi gently wrapped the herbs around his paw. As she walked, she spoke softly, "I don't know how to break your curse yet, but I will try to help you, I promise." Suddenly, there was a loud rustling in the bushes. Oluchi turned around and saw 3 hunters with their bows and arrows. "Look! A leopard," one of them shouted. Oluchi gasped. She stood in front of the leopard king, spreading her arms wide. "No! Don't shoot!" The hunters looked confused. "Move, girl. That's a wild animal. It's not just an animal." Oluchi shouted. "Please, don't hurt him." The hunters hesitated. They didn't want to harm the brave girl, but they didn't understand why she was protecting a leopard. Just then, the leopard king let out a loud roar. The sound was so powerful that it shook the trees. The hunters dropped their weapons and ran away in fear. Oluchi turned back to the leopard king. "You saved me," she said, smiling. And for the first time, the leopard king's glowing eyes softened. He let out a soft growl, almost like a thank you. As the hunter's footsteps faded away, the forest grew quiet again. Oluchi sighed with relief and turned to the leopard king, whose golden eyes were still fixed on her. "You're safe now, Your Majesty," she whispered. The Leopard King tilted his head, as though trying to say something. Oluchi gently patted his uninjured paw. "Don't worry. I'll come back tomorrow with more herbs for your paw. I promise to help you, and I always keep my promises." The Leopard King gave a low, soft growl. Then, with a flick of his tail, he disappeared into the thick trees, leaving Oluchi alone in the clearing. Back in the village, Queen Aduk was pacing nervously in the palace. The king had been acting strangely for weeks, slipping away on certain nights without telling anyone where he was going. That morning, she noticed muddy paw prints near the palace gates. "What is going on with Ajoni?" she muttered. "He's hiding something from me." Prince Tand, the king's son, overheard his mother. "Maybe Baba is going hunting again," he said. "He's always been good at keeping secrets." Queen Aduk shook her head. "It's not just hunting, Tand. There's something bigger. I can feel it." She decided to send the palace guards to follow the king the next time he left at night. The next day, Oluchi returned to the forest with more herbs and a fresh loaf of bread. She followed the same path as before, hoping to find the Leopard King. When she reached the clearing, he was there, resting under the same tree. His paw looked better already, but he stood up and growled softly when he saw her. "It's okay," Oluchi said, kneeling down. "It's just me." She held out the bread. "I brought you something to eat." The Leopard King hesitated, sniffed the air, and then took the bread gently from her hand. Oluchi smiled. "You're not so scary when you're like this," she teased. For a moment, the Leopard King sat quietly, eating the bread. Then, to Oluchi's surprise, he suddenly stood up and began to walk deeper into the forest. He looked back at her and growled, as if asking her to follow him. "Where are you taking me?" Oluchi asked, but she got up and followed anyway. The Leopard King led her to a hidden cave. Inside the cave, Oluchi saw something amazing. On the walls were ancient drawings of leopards, people, and strange symbols. In the center of the cave was a glowing stone that gave off a soft golden light. "What is this place?" Oluchi whispered, staring in awe. The Leopard King lay down near the stone, his eyes fixed on it. Then, something incredible happened. His voice, deep and rumbling, spoke inside Oluchi's head. "This is where my curse began," he said. Oluchi gasped and looked at him. "You can talk." "Only in this form, and only near the sacred stone," the king said. "This stone belongs to the spirits of the forest. It holds the power to break my curse. But there is a problem." "What problem?" Oluchi asked, stepping closer. "The curse will only break if someone performs an act of true kindness without knowing I am the king," he explained. "You have already shown kindness to me, but now you know my secret. The spirits will not accept it." Oluchi's heart sank. "So, what can we do?" Before the king could answer, they heard voices outside the cave. "Quick! Over here!" Oluchi and the Leopard King froze. The voices belonged to the palace guards. The guards had been sent by Queen Aduk to follow the king, and now they had found the cave. One of the guards spotted Oluchi and shouted, "It's the healer girl. What is she doing here?"